Hi guys. I had a bubble in my throat there. Hi, it's Angie and welcome back to my Flosstube channel. If you are new, this is my channel where I talk about cross stitch, share videos of random things that have to deal with me somehow, and talk more about cross stitch. It is nothing fancy at all. It is just a way for me to have some fun and to keep my stitching up, which it has. It has very much helped. If you are a returning viewer or subscriber, I am happy to have you back. And I guess you still find my videos fun because you're back watching them. I still find filming them fun, so I am filming. You will notice that it has not been quite a week since I uploaded my last video. I do try to film on Mondays. Mondays are my easiest day right now to film because my kids are not doing schooling all day long. They only have a few hours in the morning, and then I have kind of the rest of the day to get chores done and whatnot. I have mentioned in the past I have a couple kids that can't stay on track very well when it comes to computer screens, and I have one where just online learning is just not working for him. So I do have to sit with them, and I literally do. I have to sit with them and keep my eye on both screens to make sure they're not wandering to YouTube or some other site to play video games or falling asleep, which happens more often than I'd like to admit. So I do spend a lot of my days sitting on the couch, which is really annoying. So Mondays are great. I can film my video, I can get some chores and laundry and various things done during the day instead of in the evenings. But anyway, the good part about that, the reason I bring that up is because it gives me the ability to stitch. I mean, if I'm going to be sitting on the couch kind of monitoring, I've got to be doing something, so I can sit and stitch while they're doing that. And so there is a bonus to that, right? I guess I shouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth, because if I'm not doing that, then I'll probably be forcing myself to do chores instead of sitting and stitching for hours every day. So there is a bonus there. I did do a lot of stitching this week. I only worked on a couple projects, but I did a lot of stitching. I do not track my stitching as closely, I think, as other floss tubers I've seen. I can't tell you how much I stitch in a month. I can't give you percentages or comparisons, obviously, to last year, because last year I wasn't stitching at all. Next year I hope to be able to do more of that compare of this. I won't be able to do month to month exact, but I will be able to give some estimates, because I can go through what I've done this year and kind of estimate how much I've stitched each month. So that will be handy, and then I can kind of gauge. I do track my overall stitch count. In Magical Stitches, we have one challenge where it's called the Outrageous Headmistress Challenge, and the point of that one is to see if you can stitch the amount of pages in the series of books that we were supposed to read this year. I didn't read those books. They weren't very interesting to me, but there was over 1 million, I think 1 million pages all total together for the entire series of books. I'm nowhere near that. I knew I was not going to get that. I knew there's no way, especially for me. Maybe for somebody else, but not for me. But the way you track that is you put each project in this Facebook album, and then for every 1,000 stitches you update each project. So as I start new ones, I add them to that album and I update them every 1,000. So this is not completely accurate because there's a lot that I haven't updated yet because I haven't hit 1,000 stitches. But this week I broke the 90,000 stitches. So this year so far, I'm roughly 90,000. Well, not roughly, I know for sure 90,000, but I'm probably closer to 92,000 stitches. Anyway, 90,000 stitches, that makes me super happy. That's a lot for me. It's probably peanuts to some of the other fabulous stitchers out there, but for me, that's great. So I guess I'm gonna go ahead and just show you what I've done. I didn't really get anything in the mail this week. I ordered some thread. I was kitting up. I was trying to finish, I wanted to finish the second part of Dark Queen of the Seas. Discovered that I don't have the color in DMC that's called for. I did have all of the colors that were missing from the pattern in the CXC, but in those I only had small amounts of those specific colors left, and I didn't want to have to reorder because I ran out in CXC. And I noticed as I was putting all of my CXC threads in my floss holder that some of them are spot on. They are like really, really similar. Some of them, I've noticed, especially in the reds and pinks, the CXC threads are a lot brighter. They're the same shade, but there's a noticeable difference in the brightness factor. And I noticed in a lot of the blues that, holy cow, it's almost a completely different color. Like, you can tell it's meant to be, one of them I would say was this really light kind of sky blue, and the DMC color, it almost looks a different shade. They're the exact same number, but they are very different in shade. I noticed with the browns, I think the browns and the greens seem to be very, very similar. So I could probably swap those if I needed to, but I didn't want to. I feel like if I'm going to be using DMC for a project, I want to just use DMC, and if I'm using CXC, I'll just use that because I don't want to end up with different dye lots. And that's just my own personal preference. Plus, I don't know where to order. I mean, I know I can go back on AliExpress to order more CXC threads, but I don't know how to order the individual numbers. I know that they do it in bulk, and maybe there's an easier way. I don't know, maybe there is. I'm not really researching it. I mainly did the CXC so that I could do World Traveler on a dime. And then if I just have the leftover colors, I will use them somewhere else for something else small, but not for Dark Queen of the Seas. That one needs to be DMC. So I did order some more threads to cover those. And of course, 123 Stitch didn't have them all, so I'm gonna have to make a trip to Hobby Lobby or the local needle workshop to see if they have what I didn't have. So I'll go ahead and show you where I'm at with that. I am not done with part 2. I'm hoping I can finish part 2 before Sunday, or finish it on Sunday when part 3 is released, because last week I was going to work on this, but then a lot of the colors that I needed I didn't have yet. My lighting is terrible in here because it is dark and gloomy outside, and we have a rectangle shaped room, and our one and only light is on this side, so it's really dark over here. I need to get a lamp. I don't have one, and it's not something that I figure it's not that big of a deal. I don't know, maybe if this comes out looking really terrible, I'll change where I video. But I'm probably halfway done with this. So here is Dark Queen of the Seas. So isn't that pretty? But the rumor that I heard was that when they get into the bodice, which might be this next one, that there are 2 versions you can use. One is a little bit more risque than the other, or you can blend the 2. I want to watch the Flosstube to see if that's really what it is, but I'll find out on Sunday either way. So really, I think I just have down to here, a little bit of frill here, and then the belly right in there. And I don't have some of the colors for the belly. Those are some of the ones that 123 Stitch does not have. But this was just over 1,000 stitches that I did this morning to get this ready to film. So it stitched up really fast. I have no doubt I can finish this by Sunday or on Sunday. So, Dark Queen of the Seas. I'm trying to get a really good screenshot because for the last 2 videos, the screenshots that YouTube has chosen have been really awful. Either I look funny or, yeah, my face is funny. I don't know. So I'm trying. Okay, the other one I worked a lot on is my Away We Ride. And I got a bunch done on that. I don't know if I'm going to work on this again this season, or at least this month. I might work on it some more later because we're kind of winding down on Dark October, but I really love this one. So here we are, finished almost all of the house. I have one more chimney. So this was, oh gosh, I think the day that I filmed the last video, I went downstairs and finished the rest of the house. I love this house. I love all of those windows. They are fabulous, and I don't know what it is about this pattern, but this is so fun to stitch. So I've got the one chimney, and that will finish the house, and then really the rest of it are words, birds, flowers, and border. So I think, I feel like this motif, the house, is probably the most time consuming of any of them. Do I know what I'm talking about? No. But away we ride. It's looking so good. I don't feel like I can put it away just yet, even if Dark October is coming to an end. So that needs to probably come out at least once more this month. And then we'll see. So that one, away we ride. I don't know if you'll be able to tell much of a difference in Middle Earth, but I had so much fun stitching on Middle Earth again, I couldn't put it away. So I'm just continuing trying to get it to that diagonal, and I am closer than I was. It's hard to show because I've got all my strings, all my floss from my parking. I focused mainly in this area because I'm trying to get this done, and then I can come down and finish the diagonal down here and finish the diagonal up there. So here we are with Middle Earth. I love this. I had a commenter say that this was awesome, and I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I wonder, I was listening to somebody, I can't remember who it was. Whose Flosstube did I watch today? I watched a lot of Flosstubes today. I wonder, was it Stitch in May? Stitch in May or Joy Filled Stitcher, I think. No, it might have been Jessie Marie. Cannot remember. I'll link them all below so you can see all of their fantasticness. But somebody else is working on a map of Middle Earth. My guess is it's a Heaven and Earth design pattern, and that's been discontinued because they said it was over 100 pages. I think this one's only 20 something pages. So I have a feeling I did not get the most detail oriented copy. The word here, if I were to look at it, I can't tell you what it says. It's kind of blurry to me. I am going to outline all of the words that are on this pattern in an effort to make it look a little bit more precise. Do I care so much? No, it looks good. It is a good looking pattern. I'm just guessing that it is kind of maybe a version that's not super detailed. I'm okay with that. I think I can be happy with that. Heaven and Earth Design discontinued their Middle Earth map, so I have no idea what it even looks like. I'm happy with this. I can tell it's Middle Earth. So one more. I keep putting it down and then putting it up, and then I keep posing because I want a good screenshot. I don't want it to look funny. And then the last thing that I worked on, I told you on the last video that I wanted to start the ornaments, and I started and finished one. It is not a fully finish. I'm not going to probably fully finish these. This year I'm going to work on them randomly. I'm going to stitch a bunch on one piece of fabric and then I'll cut them out. So here is one ornament finished. Hold it up a little bit so you can see the hat designs. These are the candy corn ones. There is a skeleton and a frog. I think I'm going to do the frog. And then the skeleton is stitched in black, and I want to change that and stitch the skeleton in white, but I don't know if I want to do it on this color fabric. So I was gifted that really pretty fabric. Hold on, let me go grab it. Okay, I was gifted, if you'll remember, this pretty purpley piece. I'm trying to decide if I want to use this purpley piece to stitch another ornament, or if I want to just pull out some of my spare white Aida and stitch on some white, or even take that spare white and try and do another kind of greenish color for an ornament. I really, really like this fabric. I can tell it's a really nice quality fabric. It's nice and thick, and I'm really excited to stitch on this. I just don't know what to put on it yet because, like I said earlier, this could be a really pretty spring piece. I don't know if I want to, I'm afraid I don't want to waste it. I don't want to waste the fabric. I'm really enjoying the fabric that I'm using for the mandala. That's the other piece that I was gifted. It's stitching really nice. I have not worked at all on the mandala this week because I'm waiting. One of the comments that I got off the last video was to maybe try a glow-in-the-dark sulky thread. So I went on to the sulky website. I've never used sulky. I've heard of it. I've seen a few other floss tubers using it. I know that there are different weights of the floss for different types of stitching, and the glowy thread does not come in the traditional cross stitch weight, which I believe is 12 weight. Is that what it said? I'll probably write the correct thing down below. I think if you use the 12, then that's the same thickness as if you were using 2 strands of floss. I'm not sure. They only came in 1 weight for the glow in the dark. So it shipped today. When it comes, I will see how it works. If it works, maybe it'll be thick, maybe it'll be extra thin, and I'll have to double it up. I'm unsure of how it'll go. I'm gonna try it. If it doesn't work out, then I'll just continue stitching my Ghosts White. I think it's fun to try new things, so I'm definitely gonna try that. I was told that, what is it, Artiste brand glow-in-the-dark thread is not worth trying, so I won't look for that. If I do end up going into a shop at some point this week, I'll see if they have the light effects, if the sulky doesn't work. So I will keep you posted on that. But one last time, my ornament, 1 ornament done. So I think this was maybe 700 or 800 stitches. It was a decent amount, so I will probably work on 1 more, and then maybe I'll take these off and think about how I will finish them so that they can hang on my Halloween tree. So that's the only stitching I did. I think what I did today, I actually did the 1,000 stitches on that, and then I did 200 stitches on this today. So I did a lot of stitching this morning, and that covered all of my homework. So I have no more homework to do. I have about 200 more stitches on my mandala, and that takes care of my entire extra credit for the month of October. I read all of the books but 1 for my extra credit reading for October, and they were all scary stories. I don't even remember what the prompts were. I think we had to find a book that had specific words, like, what was it? The words envy, insecurity, insanity, madness, power. I don't remember the other words. There were I think 2 more words on top of that, and your book had to have those words in the title or somewhere in the text. And those prompts are probably my least favorite of all book prompts, because I hate trying to find a specific word in a title of a book, because then I feel like you're very limited on the book you can read. I do have a book actually called The Madness underneath. It's about Jack the Ripper, the ghost of Jack the Ripper. But I've forgotten, and that's a second book in a series of books, and I've forgotten how the first one went. So, I didn't want to reread the first book. I wasn't in the mood for that. So then you have to find it in the text of the book, which if I have the book on Kindle, no problem. I can just search for the text, and I did. I went through all of the books I have on Kindle to see which ones had that word in it. But again, that just frustrates me because I do the majority of my reading is listening on audiobooks, and I have a harder time finding that word because then you have to really pay attention, and then if I'm cooking dinner or cross-stitching, I find I'm not paying as attention to each individual word, and then I find that I skip them, and it was just a big thing, okay? It was just a big thing. But I read Pet Sematary. I read The Haunting of Hill House, which I had read before when I was in, I think, 7th or 8th grade. And there were a few things that I remembered about it, but most of the book I had completely forgotten about. And it was fun. It was definitely fun. I read another book by Shirley Jackson called The Witch Trials of Salem? Something like that. You'll see it down here. But that was a really good kind of in-depth, and both The Haunting of Hill House and the Salem Witch book were both pretty short, under 200 pages each, I believe. But it was a kind of a more in-depth look at how it got started, how insane the witch trials were. Like, seriously, looking in on it from what we know today, you're just looking at it going, how on earth did reasonable people allow this to happen? Insane. How, and I get it. It's really, I think I was reading something, or I was watching a documentary, because after I read the books, I get really interested, and so I went and found a documentary, and there was a historian that said it is irresponsible and ridiculous for us to pass judgment on the past knowing what we know now. That, the time that we're speaking of, they didn't have the same knowledge. And so it is not okay to pass judgment or to ridicule the past for what they've done based on the knowledge that they had at the time. But still, at the same time, it's really hard to believe that a bunch of adults would allow children and a few grown women, mostly children, mostly teenage girls, to run the town. It got to a point where if they didn't like what you said to them, you were a witch and you were all of a sudden on trial. It's insane. But it was a really good book. Look into that. So that was fun. And then my daughter and I, we have this thing every October where we watch a scary movie every night. And we watched The Woman in Black because she'd never seen it before. And the Daniel Radcliffe version, it's entertaining. It's not a bad movie. It's entertaining. But I read the book. I didn't know it was based off a book. I read the book. The book was better, and had they followed what happened in the book, I think the movie would have been a lot better too. So I read those, and then I didn't finish. There's one more book that I'm supposed to read for homework, and it has to do, they said, a book about or with the word triplets in the title. I challenge you to find a list of books with the word triplets in the title and not have it be a heavy romance novel. Very few books about triplets have nothing to do with romance. Or a children's book, or a pregnancy how-to, or I'm dealing with having triplets. They're all things like The Doctor and His Triplets, or Triple Seduction, and yeah, no, I am not interested in that. I did find something called 3 Dark Crowns, but the reviews on it were not very good, so I figured this month I'm just not going to read all of it. I don't know, maybe at the last minute I'll find that book. I don't know. But on top of those books, I know I read one more because I was just extra. I read the Amityville Horror, which I'd also read as a kid. And as a kid, it was scary. As an adult, I laughed. I was like, that's funny. This is funny. And then I watched a documentary on that one. Not the movie. I'm not going to watch the movie. I did watch the movie once and I didn't find it all that great, but I did watch a documentary with the people that it's based on talking. And then I started reading the account of the Bell Witch. It's like a little 150-page book based on, written by a family member of the person who was haunted by the Bell Witch. So I haven't finished that. So I was going to read that just for fun. So I did a lot of reading, did a little bit of movie. Well, we've done a lot of movie watching. We've almost hit every single night with some form of a scary movie. Last night, we were just randomly going through Amazon Prime and found a movie called The Uninvited. And it has Elizabeth Banks, and that's the only reason. We watched the trailer and I was like, there's Elizabeth Banks. I like her. She's fun. Let's watch this one. Totally surprised me. Definitely not one of those mainstream movies. I really liked it. So if it's a Prime movie, so we didn't have to buy it or anything. So we watched that. It was short and that was fun. So if you're looking for a scary movie, that one's fun. Yeah. And then last week we took our doggy to the vet because I adopted him in April. And when I adopted him, he came with some issues. They said, well, when we adopted him, they said he was 2 years old. And then they said, and he's heartworm positive. I think I may have mentioned that before. But he was so lovable. And so they treated him for heartworm and they said test him in 6 months to see if he needs more treatment. So we went ahead and took him. We love him. He is an amazing member of our family. He is the sweetest dog and he never runs away and he loves me. I am his person. He follows me everywhere. It's great. If my husband comes to hug me, he's a little jealous and he will jump in between us and try to push us apart because he's supposed to hug me, not my husband. But he loves my husband too. He'll go and get pets and lick him and everything. He just doesn't like it if he hugs me or gives me a kiss because he's jealous. Not in a mean way. He's not mean or anything. It's just cute. But we took him into the vet. Well, I took him to the vet in Texas just to make sure there was no other issues. And they said, he's not 2. He looks to be 7 or 8. He's much older than what they told you. And he's got some pretty nasty heart disease going on. And he's not going to live for he's not going to have a full life. He's probably got maybe 3, maybe 4 years because this heart murmur is pretty bad. So I was expecting to have a short time with him, but we were just going to love him. And we were kind of restricting his exercise because the vet in Texas said, don't let him get out of breath too often because of the heart thing. So we took him to the vet last week and the vet, it was all curbside. So we're in the car and the vet calls us and says, he's 8, are you sure? So, well, that's what the vet in Texas said. And she said, no, I'm looking at his teeth and I'm looking at, she had these specific markers. And she said, I'd be surprised if he was 3. We'll go ahead and put 3 on here, but there is no way this dog is older than 3. And I was just kind of shocked. I was like, well, that would explain all the energy he has because, I've had a dog. I've had a corgi when he was 8, and when he was 8, he was pretty slow. He was starting to wind down. Our last corgi actually lived to the age of 16, so that was insane. Corgis don't usually live that long, but he did. But he was a lot slower at 8 than he was when he was a puppy. Anyway, she tested him for heartworm. He is heartworm negative, so we had that great thing. And she said that his heart murmur was very faint, very small. She's not worried about it, and he doesn't need to take medication for it anymore. So we got him back on his heartworm, flea and tick. We got him some extra immunizations for some of the things that Virginia has to offer, like leptospirosis and Lyme disease. They have vaccines for dogs for that here. I'm sure they have that everywhere, but It's suggested here. So we got him. He's all set to go. His teeth are great. Everything's great. He's extremely healthy now. So yay. That was some really good news. So my sweet puppy is going to be with us for longer than we had originally thought, which is good, which is really good because we love him. So that is me doing a lot of talking about a lot of stuff. I have no idea what movie we're watching tonight. I should probably figure that out and go make some dinner for my family. But, oh, and the last thing that just has me super excited is being military, we move all over the place. And they always say it's a small world in the military because more often than not, you will friend somebody on Facebook and find out there's like somebody else that you know military-wise or from school or something that also knows this person. It's a small world. Or you'll move somewhere and find somebody that you were stationed with somewhere else. We rarely have ever gone to a new base and found somebody else that we knew from a previous base. So when we moved here, there was somebody we knew when we lived in Germany. She helped us when I shipped the car up. They kept the car at their house until I had my house so I could go pick up our car and bring it home. I've only talked to her a couple of times. She was actually a big helper when I had surgery in Germany. She was a wonderful, wonderful woman, but we don't live like really close to each other, so we haven't gotten together very much. Well, anyway, I got a notification. There was another family that I knew in Germany that I just adored. They had 7 kids, and I loved every single one of their kids. Each one of their kids was the same. One of the 7 kids they had there was one that was the same age as one of mine. So I had 2 at this age, you know. And so each of my kids was friends with one of their kids. And so we would get together fairly frequently and the kids would play, and they were just good people. Wonderful, wonderful people. I got a message last night that they just moved to Maryland. That's not far from me. And then the family that helped me out here, and then another family that we were close with in Germany has just moved to Virginia. So we're all gonna try and do a Germany reunion in a couple of weeks, and I'm so excited because it has been months now of very low socialization with anybody. And I'm kind of at this point where I need something. I need some kind of socialization. I need it, and so we're gonna get together, and it's gonna be wonderful, and I'm just excited. So super happy. I just had to share that because it just makes me happy. I love to be happy. But anyway, that's all I have for you. I will do some more stitching. I don't know if I will get anything in the mail, or like, I don't know if I'm ordering anything. I'm not a big on the haul right now. All right, I'm gonna go make dinner for my family. I hope you all have a wonderful week and have a happy, safe Halloween. However you plan to celebrate it, whether you trick or treat, trunk or treat, or don't do anything, do it inside your home, whatever you choose to do. I hope you have a wonderful one. If you don't celebrate Halloween, then I hope you just have a great weekend. It's supposed to be a full moon and the crazies will be out. So stay safe, enjoy your week, and I will talk to you next week.